on the Texas State Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the Eat 'em Up Radio Show with head football coach G.J. Kinney. The Texas State football season is presented by HEB. Here, everything's better. Here are Clint Shields and Brent Freeman.
And welcome to another Margarita Monday at Chimmy's in San Marcos for the Eat 'em Up Radio Show. I'm Clint Shields alongside Jeff Gandy in the co-pilot seat tonight.
Margarita Monday, had to come by.
Freeman away on assignment, as they say. Jeff, how are you? Good to see you.
Fantastic. Thanks for the invite. And trying to fill Brant's shoes, it's impossible. They're too big to be filled. I'll do my best. I'll just keep the mic height.
Indeed. Coming up on the show tonight, we will look back at the game with James Madison last week. We will look ahead to the game with the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana this week. Maven Anderson, wide receiver for Texas State, will join us coming up a little bit later in the show. We'll also talk a little bit of golf as we go throughout the evening up until 7 o'clock. Shane Howe, head golf coach, will be with us coming up a little bit later. Your questions for fan Q&A, if you've got them, come see us. We'll get them in right here. As we get going on this Monday night, we'll introduce the head coach, G.J. Kinney. Coach, as always, good to see you. How are you tonight?
Good to see you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Gotcha.
Coach, welcome to the show as always. And you know, as we always do, we look back before we look ahead. James Madison, the most recent opponent, although, you know, in this quirky bit of scheduling, it's been a few days, almost a week now since you played with JMU, and, you know, kind of question on one hand, comment on the other hand. I think after seeing them play in person, obviously we'd all seen them play on film, seen scores on the scoreboard, etc. You know, argue it if you want, one of the better, if not the best team in the Sun Belt. What are your takeaways after seeing James Madison in that ball game the other night?
Yeah, super talented, really well coached. You know, I think they're hitting their stride at the right time.
Yeah.
They played a really good game.
You know, big plays in that game. Really, I think were not the only difference, but a big part of the difference for James Madison. Big touchdown play of about 76 yards. They had another almost 60-yarder on a swing pass that set them up deep in your end. Some big. What happened defensively that kind of allowed those breakdowns?
You know, obviously we gotta play better. We gotta coach better. But they had a good scheme, and obviously we're working on a couple of new things on defense, and they exposed that a little bit. You know, we came out versus Marshall, and we're able to do some of those things, and it worked some with our quarters coverage, and you know, they had a week to prepare for it, and got after us a little bit and attacked us in those zones. So, but they're a really good football team. I think their quarterback is really playing at a high level right now, and it's tough when you got a quarterback that can throw it and run it, and you got those weapons. Um, you know, with a really good scheme, it's hard to defend.
And I do think since they've kind of settled into the one quarterback rotation, we talked about that the last show, how we'd seen two quarterbacks for them through the first few weeks of the year. I think the talent aside, as he's one, played well, and two, gotten the snaps, his confidence has grown. It's a tough mix when you're going up against a talented guy.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we had our opportunities in the game, and, you know, we got to capitalize really in all three phases, you know, versus a really good team like that. You know, we knew we had to play almost a flawless game to beat them, but, you know, we were, especially in the first half, we did some good things.
Coach, you know, defensively, they've kind of had they're talking about James Madison here through Sun Belt play of not allowing points in the second half, and it happened again the other night. Only 70 total yards for your offense. I think defensively, what did they do to limit you in the second half? What did they do that makes them so good after that halftime break?
You know, I think offensively they're playing pretty well. They come out and they have the long touchdown, and then you know, we had a couple opportunities there, some dialed up things, and didn't go our way, and felt like the next play, you know, interception, and they do a really good job schematically on defense, and then it kind of starts snowballing on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And had to get Brad out of there that last series, but man, they're really good. You know, they're a playoff caliber team.
Yeah, right.
I'd say the Cats is probably the best first half team in the conference.
Yeah.
And it's basically against JMU, first quarter, fantastic. Second quarter, same thing. It's just that second half, and it seems to be a little bit of a pattern the last few weeks.
Sure.
How do you get over that? So I know, is it schematics? What is it? What do you make the change there?
You know, I think a little bit it's just confidence and swagger, and that's something that we're preaching to our guys this week. We got to get that confidence back. That the same team that say on the road that just beat Tulane at the Dome. Not a lot of people have gone to the Dome and beat those guys, and we're one of those teams, and we need that team to show back up, on Saturday.
You had a couple extra days after JMU. How have you been able to use those couple extra days with the kids? And is it a mental thing, the attitude, and just get the heart right and then hit it hard?
Yeah,
Start
yeah,
practice.
we came back on Wednesday and Thursday, and lifted and did all the medical stuff and kind of regrouped, and then gave them the weekend or Friday and Saturday off, and then we practiced yesterday, and so they got a little bit of time to get away and refresh a little bit.
Yeah. How's Bobby Crosby doing?
Yeah,
By the way.
Bobby's doing great. He really is, and I just about AJ and the medical staff did an unbelievable job. Going out there and did an unbelievable job. He got released that night and went up to the hospital, and he was in good spirits, and he's doing great. I don't know exactly when he'll get cleared. He's got to go through the protocol
Okay.
with the training staff, but it'll be sooner rather than later.
I think, in the game of football especially, and it's not the first time we will have seen that, it just is a testament to what you speak of, the attention to detail, the medical staff in a moment like that where a guy's released later that night, you can be here less than a week later and say you expect him to be back. I mean, he rolled out of there on a cart. You don't expect to hear that at all. It's a real testament to the job that those guys do.
Yeah, for sure. We're always going to be, super precautious on those deals and make sure we handle it the right way. And once again, AJ, job.
You know, another piece of that, and Jeff and I talked about it on air. We touched on it that night. As that scene unfolded, obviously, a hush over the stadium, a stillness on the field. You had some team meetings going on, but when it became obvious that, they were about to get him loaded up and off the field, James Madison, shoulder to shoulder, their football team lined up. Your team was there. You've been around it as a coach before. You've been around it as a player before, and I think it speaks to the violent nature of the game, but also the respect that the players have for that moment, knowing it can come at any time for any one of us. And whatever talk's going on between the hash marks goes out the window right now while they tend to this.
Yeah, and I think Coach Chesney is first class in really everything he does, and I think his team is too. Sometimes you run into these teams and after the game or before the game, and they're really well coached, and he's a great person, and same with his team.
Did he reach out back out to you this past week to
No,
see how?
No, he hasn't. But during the game and after the game,
Oh, yeah.
we kind of talked about it, and we felt pretty good, during the moment too. So, but yeah, he's first class.
Coach, we talked about their defense. Obviously, that said, 352 yards of offense on the night for you with the football. The first team this season to put over 300 total yards on the board against James Madison offensively. I think with what you've done week in and week out against good defenses that you've seen, do you have confidence you can move the ball on the remaining four opponents that you're going to see this year?
Yeah, we got a lot of confidence in those guys, and but that's something that's every day. You got to go to work and you got to prove it, during the week, and you got to go out there and execute at a high level every Saturday. It doesn't matter who you play. So I think that the DNA of those guys are in the right place, but obviously you got to go prove it every week.
I think defensively, the last two, Marshall and then James Madison, it's not hard to look at your offense on film and say, we probably ought to do something about Lincoln Perry.
Yep.
And they have. The yards have come tough for Link the last couple of weeks. What have they done to kind of take that away from you offensively?
Yeah, two different really schemes and game plans. But I think those guys just they did a good job of taking away the run, and it's not necessarily one thing. Marshall more of a drop 8 or cover 0 team, so really a bit of all or nothing. And then James Madison, they've done it to everybody all year. It's just kind of what they do. They can stop the run.
What you saw on film is what you got on dirt.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. So nothing necessarily different about those guys. But Marshall, same thing, just a little bit all or nothing. They're exposed in some other areas with the screens, like we hit the bow and things like that. So,
right.
But it is something we got to continue to get better at and make sure we have answers.
I will say this: in spite of the outcome of the game in the last 4 weeks, has been not what we wanted or expected, but there's been nothing but fight out there on the field by those kids.
For
The
sure.
players are giving 110%, working their tails off, and
For sure.
you got to be happy with that. There's no give up by this team.
No, no, and we're going to come, ready to play on Saturday versus another really good opponent, and probably the, 3-6 versus 3-5, probably the two best 3-win teams in the country.
Right.
Probably. I mean, those guys are unbelievable.
Coach, I think it's looking this week. We're hearing Talik Lockett probably not going to be back with you this season. We've seen Justin De Leon in that spot. I think we've seen Lysander Molo over there in that spot. Kind of not necessarily strained, but a challenge for your offensive line to fill a big hole that Lockett certainly was for you.
Yeah, I think both of those guys, Justin and Lysander are both very capable and good players, and obviously Justin, a guy that was super heavily recruited and one of our top recruits when we signed him, year one, and then Lysander, is probably the biggest offensive lineman in the league. I mean,
Yeah.
he's humongous. So. And does some really good things. So between those two guys, I would see both of those guys getting reps on Saturday.
Now, I had a note here to talk a little bit about Maven Anderson, who kind of had a breakout game. Then I learned he's coming on the show with us tonight, so I'm going to hold that. We'll talk Maven
All right.
Anderson coming up here in a few minutes. He was our impact performance of the night the other
He
night
was.
with 5 catches for 96 yards. That's a look back at James Madison here on the Eat 'em Up Radio Show. We'll go to break. When we come back, we'll start talking about the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. Don't forget fan Q&A. If you've got questions for our fan Q&A section or section of the show, come see me. We'll get your question in up here. We'll get to Louisiana Talk next on the Eat 'em Up Radio Show on the Texas State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, this is Fox San Antonio's Chuck Picatinny, and I'm News 4's Don Harris. One of the best things about our jobs is calling the games on Taco Cabana's Thursday Night Lights. Every Thursday on CW35. Goes right and then takes it right back up the middle and look at him finish the run. Firing. Got it. Hard! If you're interested in video production, journalism, or covering sports for a living, our stations have job opportunities you might want to check out. To see the possibilities, go to Fox San Antonio.
At Chimmy's on this Margarita Monday night, moving into our scouting report presented by Sinclair Broadcasting. We'll get into the Louisiana Raging Cajuns coming up here in the next few minutes. Fan Q&A, come see us. Get your questions in for our fan Q&A portion, which comes up next. Before we start talking Cajuns, though, stuck in the middle of last Tuesday to right now is Halloween on Friday nights. I know I saw some of Summer's pictures on Facebook. It was a big night in the Kinney household.
Oh yeah. We met up with the Burns family.
That's
and then
right.
I went to Kyle to their neighborhood, and they have a little bit better neighborhood for the trick or treating, and went out there and saw some bobcats. So that's always good to see.
Yeah.
And the kids had a great time, and it was fun. I think the adults had a good time. I
Of
think as well,
course.
yeah.
That's become a part of trick or treating,
Yeah.
adult trick or treating.
Yeah.
Oh, my neighbor brews homebrew beer, and so he's got adult
yeah.
trick or treating next door going on.
There was
You
some,
mentioned
there was
seeing
some, there was some
bobcats
of that going on.
in costume. Anybody recognize you?
Yeah, they did. They did. They did. Yeah.
You didn't go as a coach, did you?
No, no.
Okay, come
I
on.
didn't really have that much of a costume, but it was, I had a shirt on.
We had a block party. We went into Austin to take the grandkids out. We do this every year. And I mean, in Austin, they shut down blocks
Oh
of
yeah.
neighborhoods. And I mean, there's open bars. There's like almost food trucks. It's like, this is just way blowing over. But the kids love it. They go
sure.
to house and get a lot of candy. Changing gears here real quick, I do want to talk about something that's the lifeblood of the program. And it's something that's 365, 24/7. And that's, we talk a lot about the football games, past, present, future, but the lifeblood of the program is recruiting. How are we doing on the high school recruiting, and also some of those players maybe get your eye that might be in the portal?
Yeah, yeah. So recruiting is obviously, like you said, a 365 deal, and I feel like it's going really well. We got some really good recruits, some really good commits. Obviously, can't name them by name or anything like that. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's something that we're constantly doing. You got high school, you got JUCO, and then obviously the portal will open up in a couple months. So, but really, obviously, we got people throughout the season. Coach O and the recruiting staff do a really good job there, and we're talking to the guys and FaceTiming them and doing all those kind of situations. But really our focus right now is more on the season, but
Sure,
obviously
sure.
the recruiting part is it's an everyday thing
I know. It's always in the back of your mind, isn't it?
always.
Are you looking for the type of player because of their traits or something that's going to fit your scheme, or just, hey, the heck of an athlete, we'll make him fit?
Yeah, I think there's always a little bit of everything. You take some of those developmental, type bodies. You're taking some of the kids that are just, man, this guy's a really good high school football, player, and he's made of the right things and comes from a really good program. I think you have to have some of those type kids, local kids. Um, and then obviously you're looking for those traits that you talk about,
Yeah.
the length, the speed, the size, and I think we've done a really good job the last 2 years of recruiting the high school level, and that's something this will probably be our biggest class that we've had coming in, but it's a fine line that you got to make sure you have some room for those JUCOs and,
Right.
and portal guys, and then you're also it's a fine line. You don't know who's going to be with you. You can project,
Sure.
but you don't know exactly who's going to be with you come next season.
How does it change the changes in rules in transfer portal times and windows as you look forward into the spring and spring ball? There's a piece of it that's going to be missing now that has been there the last couple of years when you come to kind of filling your roster and knowing I got room to take this much
Yeah.
more. I need to leave room to take this much more. How does that change for you?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging, and because there's so much projection that has to go on, and it's really hard to predict that now. You just don't really know what that's going to look like with your current roster. So you kind of project some of these numbers, but you don't really know. So, um, I think we have to do a really good job of recruiting the high school kids and making sure we have enough spots taken up, and then kind of be reactionary to the other to the portal stuff. So, and then now with just one window, there's a tons of pros. I'd rather have one window, but there is some cons now with not having a spring portal window as well.
Are you the one managing that, perhaps, or do you kind of spread that over to all the other coaches as well
Not
as a committee?
not necessarily the coaches. Now we all recruit, our positions and our areas and that side of the deal. But as far as the manning of the roster,
Right.
that's something that I do. And then, Coach O has been a help as far as recruiting and evaluating and kind of getting ahead of those situations.
Talking the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana now, coming up on Saturday, 4 o'clock the kick, 3:15 the pregame on the Texas State Sports Network. Michael Desormeaux in his fourth season there. They're coming off of a 31-22 win in South Alabama. They seem to have settled on a quarterback, after looking for a replacement after they lost their starter earlier in the year. A guy named Lunch Winfield. If you're going to go by Lunch, you probably better produce, and he does. He set a school record the other day of completion percentage. It was 14 for 15, a couple touchdowns, 230 plus yards. A good player, a guy that can hurt you with his feet. Obviously, you're a quarterback guy. So we'll talk us through Lunch Winfield.
Yeah, I actually recruited him. Another guy that I recruited at another school when I was at UCF. He's one of the top, high school quarterbacks in Louisiana, and just a really, really good player. Can obviously the first thing that probably jumps out at his high school film was his running ability. They used him like a running back, and really Louisiana is doing something very similar. Probably the most quarterback run that we've seen up to up to this point with Lunch, and but he's developing as a passer,
Yeah.
and they're playing to his strengths as well. They're getting the ball out. You can tell they have a couple concepts that they really like with him. They have really good tight ends. They got a couple really dynamic receivers. I think he throws the deep ball really well.
Yeah.
I think he throws the out cuts very well. And then he'll dink and dunk you, and they got some really good backs, and they always have a good offensive line.
Sure. They've had to kind of mishmash their offensive line due to some injuries
Yeah.
this year. So when you watch them on film and the way your defensive line has played, gotten penetration, created havoc, how do you feel like you match up there?
Yeah, I think their O-line coach, does one of the best jobs in the conference. He's a really good coach, and just like everyone, you got guys banged up, but they've done a really good job of developing those guys and having guys ready to go. So you don't really see a ton of drop off. I think the running backs really stand out to me. They got two guys that can really go, and
Yeah.
then with the quarterback and now his development in the pass game, it makes them very dangerous. I think they'll be one of the better teams that we've played all year, for sure. And I wouldn't expect anything less, from Louisiana.
From a defensive perspective, what do you see on film right now that you're thinking, okay, this to me might be problematic? What do they do on defense?
I think they just have really good players. That's one thing. I think anytime you line up versus Texas State or Louisiana, you're going to see some length, you're going to see some size, you're going to see some speed, just because Texas and Louisiana, you can recruit really good players
Yeah.
from
Right.
Texas and Louisiana, and they do a really good job of recruiting the state of Texas, for sure. They have a bunch of really good Texas kids on their roster. But the biggest thing, you see is, that defensive line, number 3, the linebacker, who's a
Yep.
former kind of hybrid type player. Just a bunch of length. You're going to see 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys that can rush the passer, that can get after you. And then the same thing in the back end. They got some experience there with number 4, and some length at corner. Maybe not the most experienced group, but some really good players. Very similar to us. Really, they really are.
Yeah.
As far as a skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, where are you, I guess, in your preparation? This goes back to the fact that you played last Tuesday. I know by the time we meet on Monday nights, you've kind of started, I think, with their defense.
Yeah.
In terms of breaking it down, you've got a few extra days to get started. Where are you
Yeah.
in terms of your prep this week?
Yeah, we're done with base down and offensively, and on to third down, and got a pretty good feel for that. Still got to hit some situational things, red zone and short yardage. But Coach Shu usually does a pretty good job of getting ahead of that. So, and then offensively, or on their defense, or on their offense, our defense, same thing, base downs. Wanted to make sure we had a really good plan. Just because they are a little bit unique. Anytime you play Louisiana with the different motions and the formations, and now you add in a quarterback that can really run. So,
Yeah.
obviously spend a little bit more time with the defense, this bye week and this week, trying to, get things going.
Last time you were there, and I forget the exact score. Well, it's one that got away from you.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter lead, turned on a block punt,
Yeah.
and they turned that into points. You had the ball back again, and a late fumble near midfield. Kind of sealed the deal for you. As you go back now for the first time since then, and you go to the chalkboard here, where do you feel like you got to start in terms of being solid? You're coming in, having dropped 4 straights against a team in Louisiana that's way below, I think, where they expected to be at this point in the season. So the opportunities are there. Where does it start for you?
I think for us, we just got to get our confidence back, got to get our swagger back. The morale, I'd be lying to say if it was really high right now.
Yeah.
In the locker room. So we have to do a good job of getting these guys going, and just playing with confidence. And I think offensively, obviously, we got to go out there and execute. And we feel like we're one of the better offenses in all the country. So we got to go play like it. Obviously, we got to get the run game going. That's when we're at our best, is when the run game's going. And then we got to, feed the playmakers. We got to
Right.
get Bo and Chris going, and getting Blake back last week was huge.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, adding, with our tight ends, we can, get into some more personnel sets and different formations. So, and then on defense, we just got to get better. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
We got to get better. We got to stop the explosive passes. Obviously, with their, run game and their quarterbacks and their running backs, you got to be able to stop the run, and they're going to run it. I can promise you that. They're going to run it a lot and often. And but then, when that happens, you got to kind of pick your poison a little bit. And they got some receivers, and the quarterback, like I said, throws the deep ball really well. So
Yeah.
we got to limit the explosives and put a shell on the defense and try to bend, don't break.
You can't pretend to be something that you're not though. And this defense is and it's aggressive defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it wants to get back in the backfield, cause havoc, impact the quarterback, or disrupt wide receivers. Whatever you do to try to stop the explosives, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
if you're not getting to the quarterback, you got to change it up on the back end.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to be the key in slowing him down? Really, I know you mentioned about the quarterback and all that, and I understand, but
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to limit the explosive plays. You got to put an umbrella on the defense, and you know, you got to pick your times to be aggressive. You
Yeah.
really do versus a team like that with they put so many gaps on you from a tight end standpoint that blitzing and some of those things it makes it difficult at times just because there's so many gaps out there for you to defend with the tight end. So um, I think we have to have a really good plan, obviously for the quarterback, but like I said, the receiver, the Samson kid is really been coming on lately. So we got to do a good job of bottling him up.
about 2 tight end sets, 12
Yeah. Oh,
personnel. Yeah.
Sheldon Sampson, who you're talking about, 6 catches for 138 yards, career high, a couple TDs last week. So, yeah, there you go. Another one of those big target wideouts that you got to worry about this week. All right, there's a little Raging Cajun talk. Again, that's a 4 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, 3:15 the pregame on the Texas State Sports Network. Quick timeout. Fan Q&A is coming up next on the Eat 'em Up Radio Show on the Texas State Sports Network from Learfield.
Are you ready for some Bobcat football? Want to show up to your next tailgate in style? Text TXFARM 83200 for your chance to win a Bobcats themed tailgate package. One lucky winner will get a complete tailgate package that includes tents, chairs, coolers, koozies, and more. Register to
Everything's better. Cats and Cajuns coming up Saturday, 4 o'clock in Lafayette. Again, 3:15 the pregame here on the Texas State Sports Network. Coach, our first question tonight comes from Rachel in Round Rock. Too many R's there for me. Blake Smith, the subject, comes back from the injury that kept him out last season. Then he has the big hit at Arizona State. How good is it to see him back in the lineup for you this past week?
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Not only is Blake a great kid, but he's a great player, and you add that to Titus and Ty Stamey and Jake Simpson. We felt like that tight end room was super talented, and getting him back out there just adds another spark to us.
For Ty Stamey, a little bit of a homecoming coming up this week. He's headed back to Louisiana. This is college athletics. It's not junior high or high school. But, sometimes it's difficult to keep a kid from getting overhyped, going home where they maybe started their career or where they were last.
He'll be jacked up.
Yeah, he'll be jacked up for sure. He's excited, and I'm sure there'll be some trash talk between him and his buddies. But Ty's such a great kid. I don't worry about Ty as far as that goes.
This comes from Aaron in Wimberley. Tyler Robles had that field goal miss at Troy. How has he been able to respond since then and to be perfect in field goals and PATs?
Yeah, yeah. I think he's responded really well, and that's what you like to see. They won't freeze us anymore.
Yeah,
Probably
right.
they're 0 for 2 after the freeze. So
Good point.
he's handled that pretty well, and just another really good kid. That's I think same thing. He's starting to get his confidence going.
I was going to say he's done really well with his second chances on
Exactly
the
right.
2 timeout freezes. Brent wants to know, finally, are you happy to be back on consecutive Saturdays on the schedule the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always better to play on Saturday. So definitely excited. I wish we were playing at home, but
Right.
it's good to be at least on Saturday.
Coach, that's it for fan Q&A. Before we let you go, though, coming up a little bit later, Shane Howell, men's golf coach. I know Brant talks about this a lot, the relationship between not just coaches but the programs. Football kind of being the face of the athletic program. What's your relationship with Shane Howell? I know you get out and play golf at least once a year at your golf tournament.
Yeah, I'm not a
Once a
golfer,
year.
so not a ton of relationship there. I'm not good at golf, and I don't pretend to be. So I don't even play at my own tournament. So not a ton of relationship there, just because of a lack of production by me.
Right. Lack of production. I like
Yeah.
that. Lastly, Coach, coming up here in just a few minutes, Maven Anderson, wide receiver. As I mentioned, he was our impact performance of the game the other night. 5 catches, 96 yards. His first touchdown as a Bobcat. He's a fifth-year senior guy out of Mission Viejo High School out in California. Started his career, or came here from Cal, a former Golden Bear there, where I think he spent 4 seasons. He's, as I said, fifth-year senior. You're kind of getting your one go around with him, and he's not quietly, I think productively worked his way into the rotation and been a valuable part of that wide receiver group for you.
Yeah, that's something that that stood out to us right away, and one of the things that we really liked. I mean, he was by far my favorite receiver in the portal, and had the opportunity to bring him and his family down on a visit, and just an unbelievable family, great kid. And I think it takes a little bit of time in our offense with all the options, with the tempo.
Sure.
And he's a very smart kid, and we threw a lot at him. He played inside, he's played outside. He's doing kickoff return now.
Right.
He's involved in other special teams areas. So we threw a lot on him, and I think the last couple of weeks you've really seen him, really starting to blossom and kind of be the player that he knows he is and that we know he was. So once again, just never complained, just went to work, and a lot of twitch, great hands, and that's what you saw on film.
Yeah.
Great speed, one of the hardest workers we have in the program. So sometimes in the portal you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but with him we felt like we had a pretty good idea, and he played a ton at Cal as well. So
Right.
Highly productive guy that's super high character and fits the offense. It was a no-brainer, and I think down the stretch he's going to be a big part of the offense.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time, and good luck to you guys this
Thank
weekend.
you.
We'll see you on the plane on Friday, and get ready to get after the Cajuns on Saturday.
There we go.
Good luck, Coach.
All right, see you. Thank you.
All right, GJ Kinney, our guest on the Eat 'em Up Radio Show. We'll step aside for the moment, and we will talk with Maven Anderson when we come back on the Eat 'em Up Radio. to the Eat 'em Up Radio Show from Jimmy's in San Marcos. David Bailiff is loose with the camera.
Watch out. Look out.
Up near the podiums. We make our way towards 7 o'clock. Fun 30 minutes with GJ Kinney, as it always is. We welcome in Bobcat wide receiver. Our player spotlight tonight presented by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952 and a proud sponsor of Texas State Athletics. Joining us on the show, fifth-year senior wideouts and first-year Bobcat Maven Anderson. Maven, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time to be here with us tonight.
I'm glad to be here. So glad I could be here.
Maven, I talked about this just a minute ago with GJ. You were our Impact Performance Player of the Night the other night in that Tuesday night game with James Madison. 5 catches, 96. Kind of coming out party, so to speak, here in San Marcos.
Yeah.
You'd caught balls throughout
Nice
the
way to do
season,
it.
but 596 and your first touchdown as a Bobcat. What's it
Yes,
been
sir.
like? This,
First one is Bobcat.
Exactly. What's it been like this season thus far in a Texas State uniform?
The season has been really, in an odd way, all I could ask for. I mean, obviously didn't start the season off the way that I wanted to, but at the same time, it was like a lot of learning experience and a lot of growth as a player. So
And I think to that point, GJ mentioned they threw a lot at you when you got here.
100%,
For
yeah.
this offensive style and scheme and play calling, you mentioned you played inside, you played outside,
Yep,
and I know from being around practice, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose sometimes. What was that like for you when you hit the ground here and started kind of trying to learn what happens inside this offense?
When I first got here, obviously I knew about the offense, the reason why I came here. But working on the inside and the outside was a lot at first, but I feel like myself as a player, it was the offense I wanted to be in, and I kind of just got to a point where it was like, this is what I came here for. This is what I asked for, and it's been great. I mean, being able to get loose from the inside and the outside is just great as a player. It's great for, obviously the next level and proving that you can do both. So
Best
been
way
an
to get on the
opportunity.
field. Best way to get on the field is be able to go
100%.
inside and outside.
Anywhere,
Exactly.
special teams, inside, outside. anywhere.
Exactly.
So it's good.
Schematically, probably was a lot of similar aspects to it, but the terminology was different.
Yeah.
That can slow you down because then there's just such quick communication in the up-tempo offense.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Up-tempo offense. I mean, I heard the other day we had a stat that was like, I think a couple weeks ago against Marshall, we ran a play every like 10 to 12 seconds or something like that. So it's like rapid pace, never really stopping. But having to learn the terminology and adjust to that, and just kind of that game speed when you first get in there, it's like, oh yeah, this is like, I played in fast with Coach Stafford a couple years ago, but this is faster than that. So it was definitely a learning curve for sure. But I feel like going that fast just gives you so many more advantages. It's so easy to get open on the field. So yeah.
What is the best part of your game? What is it? What is your strength? Is it the route running? Is it getting separation from the defender? Do you like playing in the zone and then pick your route and pick any kind of choice routes? Or do you like that man-to-man and that press man? We want to beat the guy that's in your face. What is it that you really enjoy doing?
Winning on the man-to-man is nice, but I feel like my biggest strength as a receiver is kind of just knowledge of the offense, knowledge of the defense, and just being smart. More so like what you said earlier about finding holes in zone and just being savvy. In a way, I feel like I like the word savvy. But crisp routes, detailed routes, and just kind of being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah. Acceleration after catch. And
Yeah,
of course,
100%.
he's going to deliver a pretty good football to you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean,
hits
that
you in
number 8,
stride.
oh my gosh, number 8, he is, one of the best quarterbacks I've played with. Like you said, I played 8 years, been around like 6 or 7 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He is among the best. I mean, Fernando Mendoza, Heisman front runner, and Brad Jackson is just like, dude, Brad, he's got it going for him. So, yeah.
Mission Viejo, California, where you're from.
Yes, sir.
Cal, where you were most recently. Your journey from California to San Marcos, Texas. How did that come about? How'd you land here? He mentioned bringing you and your family, down here for a visit. What did you do on the visit that sold you on San Marcos?
I mean, I spent a lot of time with Coach Kinney, a lot more than any other place I visited, which was huge to me because, a natural gauge for seeing where you are on somebody's priority list is how often you're around the head coach.
Yeah.
And Coach Kinney was just in no way, like, he was just, everywhere we went, he was there, like in the shadows, whether it be at dinner or around the facilities or everything like that. He was always just kind of around and with the family. So that was the number one thing that stuck out to me. I was like, yeah, Coach Kinney, as a human being, as a person, he's got it going on. So I like the vibe here with that, and obviously, the offense and stuff
Sure.
like that. Those are things before going into it. So, but Coach Kinney, he really stood out to me first. So.
what were you looking for? And I know that maybe this is a bad question to ask like
Oh,
this,
no, no, no.
but what were you looking for when you said, I'm going to put my name in the portal? What were you actually looking for? Then fresh opportunity,
Yeah.
a certain type of scheme in the offense, coach? What was it?
Keep it simple. Numbers, productivity.
Okay.
I was getting opportunities sparingly at Cal. Had a history there, and it wasn't like I wasn't playing or anything. But I feel like the next level for me, and for me to take that next step to the league, was to get some numbers, real production, and to be a featured piece of an offense.
Right.
So I hit the portal, searched around for some places that fit that criteria, and lo and behold, Texas State was at the top of that list. So.
Did you kind of cringe and think you had to come all the way over here
Oh,
to Texas?
definitely not. No,
It's
no, no,
100
no, no.
degrees, man.
Oh, I mean,
70% humidity. Come on.
yeah, I mean, I used to have.
You're
I used to-
California. I know how the weather is
Yeah,
in California.
100%. I mean, 70, blue skies,
I
sun
know.
out, everything right by the beach, a 15-minute walk,
That's
whatever.
right.
But I mean, here in San Marcos, obviously, it's really hot. And if you don't know, I used to have like a big head of hair. That had to go. Like
That's
within
right.
2 weeks of me being here, I was like, yeah, I'm buzzing it all off. And I'm in the process of regrowing it now. But it had to go. But no, I didn't regret coming here. It was like, oh yeah, I mean, Texas will be good. Being able to play in that heat. I know the weather goes up and down, but being able to play in all terrain, be able to showcase what I can do, regardless of the circumstances, is huge. So.
Were you familiar with the Sun Belt Conference? A little different, little different. It's almost like a miniature Southeast Conference.
Right.
A little brother of SEC is a Sun Belt.
We can play with anybody. But yeah, I mean, the Sun Belt Conference, I'm not too familiar with it, honestly. But we play a lot of great teams. Obviously, James Madison, Marshall, some
Right.
two pretty good teams in the past couple of years. Texas State, of course. But yeah, didn't know too much, but getting to know my way around it as we go through the season, and knowing the history in each team. Like ULL, I found out yesterday that we never beat them, and I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy.
That's
but,
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, this weekend,
It's time.
Yeah,
That's the simple way to put it.
yeah,
The last year in the Sun Belt, this is the time that you're going to win.
100%. You're going out with a
This
bang
is it.
that way and making history, is like all the coaches have been saying. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying my time here in the Sun Belt for sure.
We're visiting with Maven Anderson here, talking the Bobcats offense. Obviously, you talk about running routes and catching balls, but the Bobcats, the number 2, I think, rushing offense in the Sun Belt. So
Oh yeah,
it's built around running the football. And the old adage is, especially here in San Marcos, for wide receivers, to get the rock, you got to block. Is that true in this offense?
100%. And that was actually one of the first things I noticed when we got here is the guys, Bo, PD, Tyler, like they got a great knack for finding work after the ball is handed off. I've never seen such selfishness at the position, and obviously it's a culture thing that's let down um, from year to year. But yeah, I mean, we block it. We look for work, and it's a great thing because that's the type of stuff that makes those 20-yard runs, first downs, into those explosive runs as you see. But, you run a route, you don't get the ball, but you turn around and you see number 7 just making his way to the end zone. It's like, oh yeah, I mean,
Right.
number 7, number 9, number 4, whatever it may be. We have so many good running backs, but just that satisfaction of seeing that, like, oh yeah, I made a block to spring that play, just like scoring a touchdown. So yeah.
Change gears. How about your studies? What are
Oh.
you studying right now?
Oh, I'm studying integrated studies. I'm minoring in business administration and economics. So
Okay.
I'll actually be able to finish that bachelor's within the year that I'm here.
Okay.
So
Congratulations on that.
well, thank you. Thank you.
Indeed.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is awesome. It is awesome. I mean, I love it here. I'm not on campus very often. I have one class on campus, but I mean, campus is beautiful, and the studies are just, they're second to none, honestly. So, yeah.
Maven, in your bio, a couple more questions here for you. You talked about coaching youth football back when you were in high school. What was that experience like, giving back to youngsters just starting their way in the game?
I mean, I love just being around the game of football, and youth football in particular has been so fundamental in my foundation as a football player. So every chance I have is that, whether it be coaching, because at the time my little brother was on the team I was coaching.
Yeah.
So it just happened to work out in that way where I could give him pointers here and there. But I did that, and obviously that is super fulfilling for me. And also in my time up at Berkeley in the Bay Area, I did a next level 7-on-7 thing, coaching kids every off season,
Right.
and just kind of taking kids on the side, one-on-one training, stuff like that. So to me, that is just the biggest thing. Um, at the end of the day, we're given a platform to spread our beliefs and kind of just showcase what it is, what it means to be at this level, and to kind of pass that on to the next generation. three. But in particular, they've got bigger guys kind of in the box, but they're a little bit slower. Um, I'd say as a defense as a whole, they're a solid group, but change of direction, footwork, all that type of, in the phone booth movements aren't really there. I'd say that it's going to be a big game in the run. I know their run defense hasn't been the best,
Yeah.
so we're going to exploit that, running the ball and stuff like that. But also, I feel like a good avenue we can expose this week is those outside the box second level players, like those edge players, those nickels, those outside backers that have to make that choice of like, okay, we're going to play the run and fit the run, or we're going to play this inside slot receiver and guard the hitch or the quick slant. And I feel like as receivers, they're not going to play a lot of men. So a big avenue we have to exploit is that catch and run aspect of like, okay, like they just ran at us like 10, 15-yard pops. And as soon as that edge player comes into the box, we're going to bang something quick in that little slot level. And then, like a Bo Sparks, a CD, high, where we can take the ball and just run for another 25, turn it into a touchdown. And I feel like that's how this game's about to get down.
Early in the year, they showed a lot of cover two, but they really end up with cover one. I mean, that safety's coming down real fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
like
so
they fly into that box.
And it wasn't that hard to be able to see it.
Right.
So good opportunities.
100%.
Well, Maven, man, thanks for the time as always, and congratulations on coming
Thank
here
you.
to San Marcos. Your success
Yes, sir.
individually last week. Good luck this weekend. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Have a good
Maven
game.
Anderson, wide receiver for your Texas State Bobcats. We'll talk men's golf with Shane Howell coming up next on the Eat 'em Up Radio Show from Jimmy's on the Texas State Sports Network from Learfield.
Texas Disposal Systems is proud to be part of the San Marcos community since 2003. As the official waste and recycling sponsor for Texas State Athletics, we are committed to keeping the stadium clean and environmentally friendly. Bobcat fans, let's make a difference together. Do your part.
Talk with Maven Anderson. Great representative, I think, of the
Sure was.
wide receiver group football program as a whole. Guy that came from Cal late in his career through the transfer portal, which has transformed, I guess is a good way to put it, college athletics, period. Not just football, but just college athletics. And I don't know. We'll see what it's done to the game of golf as well, as we call that a segue. Nice segue into men's golf.
You and I, we try to play golf, and I know we got the golf coach up here. It's like it's going to be pretty embarrassing.
Shane Howell, men's golf coach at Texas State in his 19th season. Did I read that right?
You read that right.
You've been here a while, and you've seen golf, I think, in college golf transform over the last 20 years. How are you, Coach? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
You've wrapped up the fall parts of the schedule. You got the spring ahead. I think somebody, if they would stop and think about college athletics, and think, why are there two seasons for golf? I know there is for tennis as well. Why are there two seasons for golf?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not real sure. As a coach, especially in this transfer portal era, I would rather have the fall just for us to play a little bit of golf, play some individual performances, and do the team portion starting in the spring with the championship segment. But I don't make the rules, and so that's the way it's been for a long time.
Coach, what is defined as the off season for golf from your perspective? Is there really an off season or not?
A little bit for us.
Okay.
You know, November through Thanksgiving and then through finals. Really for golfers, there's a time where they can kind of put their clubs away a little bit, be normal students finally, because when we get going in the spring, we'll come back and we've got about a 3 week kind of camp, and then we'll get into competitions in the spring, and it'll be tournament, off week, all the way through the end of the year, and then they go right into summer golf, and they play summer golf all summer long. They come back to us in August, and then we play 2 tournaments September, 2 tournaments October. And so really, this is only the time they kind of get off to have a little bit of a mental break.
Bottom line is there's no off time in golf. I mean, you're playing all the time. And here in the South or Southeast, you can play almost year round.
No doubt.
So,
and the way the game is transformed, I think since Tiger Woods brought the game to a new level, there is really no off time. Yeah.
Coach, back to the transfer portal, how has it changed? I think the way you recruit and build a roster from year to year. I look down your roster here, and I know we've talked about this in soccer, we've talked about this in track, we've talked about this in women's golf. Spain is represented, France, the Czech Republic, England, Finland. It's an international game. Obviously, golf is, but it's also an international roster for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Since I've been here, we've had half Texas kids and half international kids. It is an international game, and it's been really beneficial for us. The international kids come over. The weather is very, very good for them.
Question.
So they love it over here. During Thanksgiving, they don't go home, but they stay over here with our kids from Texas and go home with them. And then, in the summertime, we've let a lot of our Texas kids have been able to go over to Europe and play events in Europe, which has been incredible. And kids that have never really traveled at all of a sudden, now they're going to Europe to play in big time tournaments at St. Andrews, the home of golf, in the summer. So it's been very beneficial for both sides and for our program.
So how does schoolwork fit into all of this?
The student part of student athlete.
It's pretty tough.
Yeah. You have to be a pretty disciplined young person, don't you?
Time
Really?
management's huge.
Yeah.
When they come in, that's the first thing we kind of talk about for that. The fall is okay because, like I said, we'll play 2 times in September, 2 times in October, and then they get a little bit of break. But that's just kind of a warm up for the spring, because in the spring it's you get a 3 week kind of to get going, and then it's just boom, 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 and the semester's over with. So, they've got to do a very, very good time management, and luckily for me, we've done a very good job of that. We've got some very, very good kids from an academic perspective.
I'm just it really just blows my mind. I'll watch those series, Full Swing, on Netflix, and you get a chance to see behind the scenes. I mean, you can see Jim Nance announcing, someone, Rory McIlroy up on 18th green, but there's so much to life behind the golfer. And I was just intrigued by their workout schedule and how much they train. They lift weights. They do this, do that. 2 questions. You're a believer in that type of, working out and develop the body to develop the swing to have more power and precision behind the swing? Or are you kind of like the old school, like, no, we just need to work on the mental more and work it from that perspective as well? You've got a lot of years behind you. So where do you kind of fall in that line?
I'm the same age as Tiger Woods, and he changed the model.
Yeah.
Before him, it was taboo to never touch a weight, or you're going to ruin your golf swing. And once he did that, that changed, and now we're having bigger, stronger athletes come in the game, and these young men that come into the game, 18 to 22-year-olds, they're kind of just maturing into their bodies, and so the working out is very beneficial. Lower body, they've got to be very strong in their lower body. So we're big believers in that.
Coach, I was looking back at your schedule here. Texas State hosted a tournament in Florida in Miramar at the Sandestin Collegiate Classic. How is it that Texas State goes on the road and plays host to a golf tournament?
Well, since COVID, um, Texas golf courses are so piled up. I don't know if you guys play golf or not, but it's hard to get on a golf course.
Yeah.
But luckily, we have some donors, Cole Lineweber and Blake Warren from right here in San Marcos. And part of the year, they're down there in Sandestin. And about 3 years ago, they started having a team retreat down there for us. Started out as a weekend. We'd go down and play a little bit of golf down there. And they were like, well, what else can we do? And I was like, well, we can put on a college tournament. And so I expected them to say no, but they said yes.
That's awesome.
And so we had a first class tournament, and we had about I think we had over 40 Bobcat donors down there.
Yeah.
For the college jam. For a first year event was fantastic, and it's only going to grow bigger and bigger from here. But couldn't do it without those two
Will there
guys.
be a second version? Who came as far as other teams, and will it get bigger?
I think we had 6 Sun Belt schools, which we're leaving the conference, but that's still kind of in their footprint, so they
Yeah.
will stay. And we'll continue to build it into 15 teams each year and make it bigger and better.
I know a couple of radio guys that'd love to do a radio
Yeah.
show from there. Just putting that out.
We'd
right
love to
out.
have you.
We could go live. On
I could
the
make that
course,
trip.
Hold the hole.
We'd love to have you.
All right, Coach, your fall season is wrapped up. As you look ahead to the spring, what's the strength of the Sun Belt? Where does Texas State fit into that picture?
Yeah, there's several very, very good teams, and we're one of them. We brought back Saki Satala, who last year as a junior was the first Texas State golfer to reach the national NCAA finals.
Yeah.
So basically, like you think of baseball, Omaha, this was our Omaha. We
Yeah.
went to Lacoste out in San Diego, where he finished 36th at the competition, did really well. So he came back for his senior year, and we've added a couple nice pieces through the portal. Bryce Womack from San Antonio came from Midland Junior College as an All-American and has performed really nicely. And then Ben Lavard from Luton, England, he was with us last year as a transfer from Mississippi State, and he's had an exceptional fall season for us. So we're locked and loaded. We've got some good momentum going into the spring season. Arkansas State's a pretty good team. They beat us. We saw them twice. They beat us twice, but we're not that far behind, and the guys are looking forward to the challenge in the spring.
Well, Coach, great to have you with us. Good luck to you. Enjoy the off season that you've got here before the spring rolls around, and eat them up come springtime.
Eat them up. Thank you, guys.
Shane
Hey,
Howell,
Coach.
golf coach on the men's team at Texas State. Our guest will step aside one final time. Down and Android. Listen to your favorite team live. Varsity Network app. Download it today. Jeff, very quickly before we go, if there's a time to win in Louisiana, in Lafayette, it's now on your way out of the Sun Belt.
It sure is.
You
It's it's the golden opportunity to go into Louisiana and get that W over ULL. And it's a long time waiting. You come close a couple times, and a little bad blood there. So we just need to go ahead and get it done.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, look forward to seeing you this weekend.
See you there.
Great job on the show tonight.
Thanks
to everybody
Thank you, Brant.
being with. Thank you, Brant Freeman. I forget, I'm in Mike 2 tonight. Thank you, Brant Freeman, as well. Again, GJ Kinney, Maven Anderson, and Shane Howe. We will see you Saturday, 3:15 for the pregame, 4 o'clock the kick from Lafayette. Until then, I'm Clint Shield for Jeff Gandy. So long, everybody.
You've been listening to the Eat 'em Up Radio Show with head football coach G.J. Kinney. State football season is presented by H-E-B. Here, everything's better.